Rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the order?
Trustee Rogers. Present. Trustee Reinders. Present. Trustee Casino.
Present.
Trustee Consolino. Trustee Bielko.
Present.
Trustee Laha. Present. And Mayor Yurich.
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. I need a motion for the minutes of August 10th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. I had a correction. I know Gina's not here, and she did these minutes, but I had a correction I addressed me with Christina, and it's relative to I-2. The motion did not carry, so I think she just had a bigger.
What page is that? What page?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I-2.
It's right underneath roll call.
What was it? It's nice. The supplemental sheet.
It would be page 8. Two A's, 4 nays, and motion did not carry. Page 8 of the minutes. Page 10 of the packet.
All right, so
Oh, you're just saying right where it said motion carried, right?
Right underneath roll call.
I got it. I'm in. Good catch.
okay, so it's corrected.
It will be, yes.
All right, was there anything else with the minutes? Okay, we did a motion for it, no discussion, so please call the roll.
Trustee Bielko.
With the amended portion on I-2, I say yes.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
And Trustee Casino.
Aye.
Okay, next would be public comment. First one would be Sharon Sweets. Take your time.
Thank you, Mayor.
This is regarding agenda item I-10 plus other things. There are reasons why there is a separation of church and state. Prayer before a public meeting is not necessary, nor is it inclusive. Some residents attending these meetings may feel offended, as they may have different views and beliefs. So why make them feel that way? Prayer alone is not going to remedy whatever is going on with this board and management, as 2 more employees have recently quit. Employees just don't leave good jobs unless they feel they are not treated with respect or treated fairly or something else is going on. This makes a grand total of 20 village employees who have either quit, were forced out, or were either quit, were let go, or were forced out since this board and management took over last year. This type of exodus has never happened in the 21-year history of this village, within such a short period of time. So what is the bottom line here? Is it to get so many other staff members to quit so you can infiltrate family and friends into these positions? I'm asking you, what is going on? You owe the taxpayers of this community answers. They are tired of paying your legal counsel over here to come up with these answers when it's your board's responsibility and job to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next would be Brent Portillo.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees, for having me. I wanted to talk about real quick new business, the Public Works Department tax levy. I wanted to shed some light on some historical data for a comparison for the board. I went to the county today and I requested data from 2015 to 2020, a 5-year span for the taxes on Homer Glen residents and businesses, to give a comparison to the 1.5 million that's suggested on the agenda. So the levies that were sent out by the road district from 2015 to 2020 increased from 4.3 million to 5.1 million over that span. As you know, and if you didn't know, there are things called half shares, which the road district would give back to the municipalities within the road district, which would be Homer Glen, Lockport, and small pieces of New Lenox and Lamont. So within that 5-year time span, the amount of taxes that were paid by the village of Homer Glen ranged in 2015 from 2.64 million to 2.84 million, from the low side to the high side. The actual budgets for the road district only were about 60% of the total levy. So if you're looking for what the operating budget was for the road district, for the 155 miles of the entire township, which included Homer Glen, that ranged from 3.7 million to 4.4 million. That was the budget. I don't know what it is now, but that's just historical data. So if you prorate the streets that are in Homer Glen right now, I think there's around 135. Brett might know. Maybe 135. If you prorate that to the 156 that there was when the road district provided services to the village, that's about 86% of it. So to put it in summary, you have a $3.2 million to $3.8 million budget. And so if you look at what Homer Glen paid on an annual basis for those 5 years, it is much more than the 1.5 million that's being suggested.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Christine. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that fact, that there's going to be a severe cut in the amount of money they have to pay for Public Works budget. So that's about all I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor, can I speak?
Thank you, Glenn.
I'm sorry, what's
May
that?
I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Portillo, could you share that information with Carmen so he could disseminate that to the rest of the board? Because
Sure.
I was trying to take notes, but I couldn't keep up fast.
Yeah, I'll just give them a printout of the county data that I got.
Thank you.
And it'll sum-
Actually, Commissioner Portillo, would you mind staying for K1, because we do have discussion, and
Yeah, sure.
I'd love your feedback, and I'm sure we'll ask some questions.
No
And that way
problem.
you're not timed.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would it be helpful, though, before that discussion, would you have the paperwork to share that we could make copies now?
Yeah, I got it on my truck and go grab it.
Oh, you've got copies, Mr.
I got an original set that I could give you and you should return to me after you make a copy. I'll go grab it. I'll give it to the clerk.
Thank you.
Okay. Next would be reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. One, we had a paper dropped off, and they asked me to please read this. It starts out, "Hi Christina, I had planned on attending tonight's meeting, but now I can't. How can I get a public comment on the record? All it is this. I am not in favor of prayers to open village meetings. I do not believe it is legal, However, since I am not an attorney, I have other reasons as well. You are planning to vote on Christian prayers. Have you ever thought about how Muslim, Jewish, etc. neighbors feel? I imagine that they would feel discriminated against, unwelcome, and uncomfortable. True Christians, along with Jews and Muslims, all try to follow their basic religious tenet to love their neighbors as themselves and to treat them as we would want to be treated. It is the same for all three major regions. What you are proposing is not acting as Christians. You are excluding your own neighbors and making them hesitant to attend meetings. I request that you vote against prayers in public village meetings so that all citizens have equal rights. Karen Worth. Okay, next on my report. It has gotten very dark now. It's like 5:15, it starts getting dark, and it gets very dark very quickly. Sometimes it's hard to drive down the streets to be able to see the curbs because there are no lights out there. So if everyone could please be careful, kids are still out at around 5. Let's just keep the speed down and make sure everyone's safe. With that, we'll go to the trustees. Start out with Ms. Lahab.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would, before I jump into my report, I'd like to congratulate the Homer Stallions Super Lightweight Football Team on their victory last weekend against the New Lenox Warriors. This team hasn't been defeated all year. The New Lenox Warriors haven't been defeated all year. In actuality, has not lost in 3 years at this level. So the Homer Stallions defeated them, and now we go on to the Youth Football Super Bowl on Sunday, and we will be playing the Orland Pioneers. So that game will be held at St. Xavier at 10 a.m. and the Homer Stallions would love to see support if you want to attend the game. Also, we would like to ask some of the local businesses to wish our Homer Stallions luck. If you have a billboard or if you have a signage or anything, maybe our police or our firemen can post a little message for them. I know they would absolutely love that. So I'm very proud of this team. They are very young. They're 7, 8, and 9-year-olds, and they played like champs in that terrible weather last week. So I just want to congratulate them. My report is last week, a couple weeks ago, I did cancel the Ability Awareness Committee meeting. Whole family was out sick, so we were able to continue on with planning the roundtable, which is going to be set for January 17th. So hold that date. We will be inviting ARC, Will County Special Rec, and the Special Needs Planning and Legal Team. Our topic is going to be revolving around taking care of your disabled or special needs child after 22, setting up a trust, kind of when we get to that point of now what. So I'm excited to host this because I've got a lot to learn myself. Also, following up with the accessible park, the swing, the Lido swing that the Ability Awareness Committee raised funds for is up there and out there, and we're extremely proud of that. So if you haven't already, I would go visit it. And that is my report.
Thank you, Trustee Lahab. Next would be Trustee Rogers.
No report.
Next would be Trustee Pasmino.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to report for the newly created Behavioral Health and Addictions Recovery Committee. Currently, we are still seeking committee members and welcome all owners and residents to apply to this very much needed cause. If interested in participating, please email myself, rpasmino@homerglenio.com, or Carmen Morella, our village manager, at cmorella@homerglenio.org. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Trustee Wenders.
Good evening, everyone. Turn my mic on. Thank you. I would like to report for the Parks Committee. I'd like to thank everybody who came out for the Veterans Memorial Dedication on Saturday. We all got a little wet. Soaked was more like it. But we actually had to take the ceremony indoors, and it actually turned out to be a very nice day. We had about 40 of the veterans that attended and their families, and they were very thankful, asked a lot of questions about the Memorial Brick Program. So everybody ended up having a good day, and it was very nice. And lunch, and I want to thank special thanks to Carmen Morella and to the Parks Committee and Trustee Pasmino for helping us put this event together. Everybody thoroughly enjoyed it. I would also like to congratulate Steve Balich and John Richmond on their win tonight. I know we will continue to fight for common sense conservatism. So we're looking forward to working with them and seeing what they're going to bring to the county board. So we look forward to that. So the ones who did not get the results that they were looking for last night, I actually extended out a gesture of goodwill to Sherry Goulding and to some of the others. I hope they continue to support our community. It's not just about elected officials. It's about, people who work together in the community to make a difference. And even though anybody that's worked the campaign knows that it's very, very hard and it's very tiresome and it costs a lot of money. So you want to give credit to everybody that puts the effort in to do that. So kudos to them, and sorry they lost, but we look forward to working together with them in the future. That's my report.
Thank you. Trustee Fialko.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report for the fest at this time, but I would also like to thank our 3 local folks that won the election last night. Will County Board District 4, Steve Balich, Elizabeth Caporelli for the Will County Superintendent of Schools, and the State Senator for the 19th Legislative District, Pat Sheehan. And just to give the numbers very quickly, Steve Balich got 13,819 votes. He won by 7,139 votes from the lowest vote. As far as Will County's Elizabeth, for the Superintendent of Schools, Elizabeth Caporelli had 101,379 votes with a margin of 6,425 votes, and Pat Sheehan had 29,739 with a winning margin of 13,241 votes. Just as Rose said, it's very hard to run an election. It's a long, laborious process, and I just want to say thank you to these 3 local candidates that won last night, and I'm sure that you will do your best job to represent the village and the community you live in, and once again, congratulations. That's it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to just state that the Sheehan race is too close to call at this point, so we're just waiting.
The numbers I gave are off the Will County website at the moment. So, do you have corrected numbers to give you?
I am not able to share those.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You all set?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, village clerk.
I don't have anything to report except that I do have my new computer, so I'm very excited about that, and hopefully the minutes will be on their way shortly. That's all.
Thank you. Village attorneys. Eric?
No report, Your Honor.
Carrie?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have any report.
Okay. Public safety officials? You guys got anything?
No, sir.
Thank you. And village manager?
Yeah, Mayor, I do have something to report. We got our veterans celebration where we're delivering care packages. Tomorrow we'll be putting them together here at the Village Hall. Any volunteers that are looking to come to help out. I know some staff members like to get involved, and we got a couple trustees and the clerk to come in and work with getting the care packages together for the veterans. Really nice. They go out and deliver them on Friday, and we're very excited to be hosting that tomorrow. So I just want to let anybody know if they're looking for any, to volunteer, we definitely have some slots we can fill. Also, as everybody knows, Christmas lights are being put out throughout the village. We're not turning them on. I just want everybody to be aware as you're walking through the park and you see all these ornamental Christmas stuff, just be cautious, they're still kind of putting stuff together. Just wanted to say that. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Excuse me, Mayor, do you guys want me to make copies of these now, so you guys have them, or how do you want me to do this? Because if I go back there, someone's gonna have to take it.
Beth requested, would you prefer them?
No, I'm fine reviewing them during the week.
The first 5 pages
Maybe
are
a copy,
summary
that'd be
pages.
great, because we're going to be discussing a little bit tonight on Reuben.
Chris, the first 5 pages are summary
rest of us,
pages,
yeah.
so maybe you just run those up.
Just the first 5?
Those are summary pages.
Okay, I'll go do that right
George, you
now.
run back.
Thanks.
So that would be 5.
First 5 pages? And then I'll make copies of everything else for you later.
All right, next is consent agenda. Consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of October 28, 2022 through November 10, 2022, in the amount of $298,154.79. Number 2, consider for approval the 2023 Illinois Municipal League Risk Management Association IMLRMA contribution invoice renewal in the amount of $103,453.02, plus the IMLRMA membership renewal in the amount of $17,500 for the total amount of $105,203.02.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any, no discussion? Christine, could you call the roll?
Trustee Lama?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next would be legislation and action items. Consider for approval payment of the Village of Homer Glen September legal bills from legislative attorney Odelson, Stirk, Murphy, Frazier, McGrath Limited in the amount of $11,845.24.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Lama?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
No.
Okay, motion carries. Next, consider an approval for the payment of the Village of Homer Glen's September legal bills from Mahoney, Silverman and Cross LLC in the amount of $4,742.50.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Lama?
Aye.
And Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, consider for approval ordinance number 22-049, an ordinance granting a variance to permit a mix of stucco and brick materials on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of the exterior construction standards 75-67A, applicability and scope, type of building, or exterior construction standards 75-67A, applicability and scope and type of building or structure of the Code of Village Home Glen for certain real property located in the R3 Single Family Residential District at 13310 West Valley View Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Joe, I had a question, for the stucco piece, and I know everybody's different kind of brand wise. The portion that they're gonna add for the stucco, is that the stucco with the styrofoam and then the wire on top and then the cement that goes over?
They stated stucco. Either application is acceptable per the building code, so if they use actual stucco cement, which is the wire mesh with a cement coat, or the EVIS type system, those are both acceptable methods and meet building code.
Thank you.
You know what, with that said, this ordinance, we have quite a few of them under 7567A to basically accept the variance. When we get into the stucco material though, I almost think that with the other ones that are on the list, that with the stucco, I know there have been problems in the past. I know you say that it's changed a little bit, but for the aesthetics reasons, I'd like to see us kind of steering back towards the other, like the other three ways with the stone and the other composition of materials that we're using. And instead of you, I believe in the last couple of meetings, we've thrown that stucco in there. And we're not going by percentages right now. We're just kind of approving the variance, but we're not really adhering to percentages as to what we're allowing. And if the surrounding houses don't have that type of stucco, I know what it looks like. It can look nice, but over time, it doesn't always hold well. It discolors. If it gets a little pinhole in it, it changes colors quickly. It can promote mold. But I know the technology has changed in the meantime in the last couple of years. But if we could maybe keep a closer eye on there, maybe you can give us some guidance as to maybe adjusting this ordinance so we don't have to come back with these variances all the time. And the stucco portion of it could be included in the variance change. And then we could avoid getting all this stuff on the list all the time. And therefore, that puts it back in your hands as far as letting the residents do with the house that they're building what they want to do, with a little bit of guidance, but not that strict, rule of all stone on 100% of the property.
Trustee Fielkow, I totally agree. I've been kind of looking at this ordinance because with the number of variances that have come before the board in the last year, I think with the new materials that are on the market now, different methods and cost savings in lieu of total brick or stone, it's something I'm currently reviewing and probably going to be coming before the Public Safety Committee for some recommendations and then before the board.
So that would be changes to 75-67A?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
I also imagine that has to do with the trends of, of the
There's a different style trend in architecture right now with this farmhouse type look, more so than the old brick Georgian type style, two-story. So it's something I'm exploring and going to be coming back with.
In your eyes, what they're requesting now, though, for this project, you're okay with it?
All materials that are put on a home now have to meet building codes.
Thank you, Jim.
I think that we've talked about this a couple of times, because we would have saved at least 4 different families from having to come through the whole entire process.
Right.
So, we've always just probably.
I appreciate the fact that our process is pretty easy. It doesn't have to go through Plan Commission. It does. I'm hesitant to allow certain materials because I think they're even though they do meet building code, could be inferior and deteriorate over time a little bit quicker. And I think that's something we want to be cautious if we allow that type of things, i.e. the vinyl siding type stuff. It did meet code, it does meet code, but I don't think that's what we want to see in our community.
In this particular home, he has almost 90% of the first floor is on brick.
Correct. Yeah, there's very little stuff.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of stuff.
Right.
It says in here in attachment A, though, I just had a question about attachment A. And it would be that third sentence, I believe it is, almost 85 to 90% of our homes' first floors will be brick. It sounds like they're talking about more than, this is just one home and not a project.
Correct.
As far as I know.
Correct.
But yet, the verbiage in here almost makes it sound like there's more.
There's more brick than there is stucco on the home.
What they're saying is almost 85 to 90% of our home's first floor will be brick, which they're talking only about their home, right?
They're
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
I did not draft that letter.
All right, any other comments? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Kazmino? Aye. Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, consider for approval ordinance number 22-050, an ordinance granting a variance to permit a mixed stone, brick, cementitious siding materials on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of exterior construction standards, 75-67A, applicability and scope, type of building or structure of the code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located in the R2 Rural Residential District, 16455 Spaniel Lake, Homer Glen.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Joe, you've been out there, you've looked at this, it meets everything that you would expect, right?
And then, as a side note too, I think with some of the potential future projects that we have coming down the pipeline with subdivisions and PUDs, where it's going to be that may be something that we consider in the materials as part of the approval of these subdivisions, being a little bit different than what our code currently says, and that would help the process as well.
Any other discussion?
It's a beautiful plan. Pretty, yeah, pretty.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Fielko.
Aye.
Trustee Lana.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino. And Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Congratulations to the Kozlowski family.
Okay, next, consider an approval ordinance 22-051, an ordinance granting variance to permit a mix of stone and fiber cement siding materials on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of the exterior construction standard 75-67A. Applicability and scope, type of building or structure of the code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located at the A2 Rural Residential District at 17851 South Parker Road, Homer Glen, Illinois.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Again, Joe, this has met your high standards of what they want to do here, and you're okay.
They're not my high standards, but the building code that's been adopted by the building.
Well, okay, it's the high standards that you enforce.
Correct.
Is there any other discussion?
I just want to make sure these I-6 is with the same piece of property too. So I don't know how that interacts with each other, but that's all I have to ask on my file. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Lana.
Aye.
Trustee Fielko.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry, my mic check card didn't work. I had my mic off, sorry.
All right, next, consider for approval ordinance number 22-052, an ordinance granting a variance to permit standing seam metal siding materials on the accessory structure in lieu of exterior construction standard 75-67A. Applicability and scope, type of building or exterior construction standards, 75-67A. Applicability, scope, type of building or structure of the code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located at A2 Rural Residential District at 17851 South Parker Road, Homer Glen, Illinois. I need a motion.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So, with this out there, it sounds like this is more like a barn structure that's out there. The other one is it is the house.
Those are residential.
And so this is out there, and this is in the A2 Rural Residential District. I have not been out there. I don't see that this had any complaints of any kind from any neighbors, right?
I have received none. If you look at attachment B too.
Right, there's other
Similar
structures.
structures that are down on Parker Road, down in that area. It's very rural. I don't see any negative, anything with this type of structure down there.
Thank you.
Everything said? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Giesman?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
And Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next would be consider for approval a reimbursement grant award under the Commercial Building Improvement Grant Program to SWC 87th and Stony LLC for eligible improvements at the 14035 through 14065 South Bell Road in the amount of $8,922.66. Any other motion?
So moved.
I will second that.
Discussion.
Did notice, again, this is taking a huge chunk out of the $60,000 that was available for this program. So, Jeannie, where are we at number-wise after we distribute this check for this item? What would be left for other businesses?
The balance that would be left, is this on?
Yes, the balance.
The balance that would be left would be just under $37,000. It'd be $36,694.85. I just have something to note. On the supplement sheet, there was a condition with the motion that did not get written into the agenda for this item.
That's in there, the lighting permit review.
It wasn't, I don't believe that condition was read
Oh, George.
in the motion.
Oh, I got you. I would. Oh, well, we definitely need to read that into.
Just covering our bases,
Yes,
because we have
thank you for that catch.
contractor, 3 quotes, and the applicant can always choose the contractor.
Is it normal that we would wait to award the grant money first before the permit review and approval is actually, gone through its process?
Actually, the permit, it has been reviewed for a lighting permit, and the building permit is ready to issue for this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so that's new information. Joe, did you work with them on that?
That's through one of our third-party consultants, so that all information came back approved, and the permit is pending with this one. Pending this decision here tonight.
I worked with them, trustee Tiago, with our consultant.
All right.
Would you like me to read the condition into the minutes?
Shouldn't George really read it into the rest of it to make it complete, no?
Well, we can. But it's
Yes.
not in my-
It's in the max.
It goes after that following condition, George, that third sentence down.
Yeah, if Ruben can simply amend his motion to include that condition, I
Oh.
can second it.
All right, if that suffices.
So I amend my motion to
Include the condition.
include the condition that's needed in order to go ahead and subsidize the light.
Which is,
Being a new,
Oh, so let's read it out of here.
yeah. it's a-
Okay, so we'll start. A new lighting permit review and approval will be required should the grant applicant plan to deviate from the approved specifications under the current permit.
And I will second that.
So, is this discussion now?
We're still in discussion, aren't we?
Are the lights currently working now, or are they?
This is just an upgrade. They want to move to LED.
Well, I believe this is your plot.
Yes, it
The
is.
lights don't work there.
The parking lot lights do not work, but the lights, they did install new lights on the building.
Right, so this is out in the parking lot. The second thing that I did notice is we've got, the sign off on this is by Michael Rose. I believe that's the same Rose, possibly paving company. They got the money for Phoenix Restaurant for the repaving the $10,000 that we gave out at the last meeting, I'm not exactly 100%, but it sure looks the same. Not that that makes too much of a difference, but it is still the same people that are. And
I'll correct you, that's not the same people, two separate
No.
motions.
Is it? Okay. Thank you, Ben. That's all.
Okay, there's nothing else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Baha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Abstain.
Trustee Pedino?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Abstain.
It's 3.
You have to vote.
Mayor Yukich?
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, next, consider for approval, purchase of a red pack vehicle servicing lift, the amount of $23,410.
I will make that motion.
Second.
It looks like the Admin and Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend this approval. Although I did have a discussion with the village manager, and we were going to ask some questions about this. Brent Woods, maybe I could ask you first. I know you need a lift to change the tires on the cars, correct? We already have a lift for the trucks, but this would be for the cars, right?
Yeah, currently the current lift we have is an RV Hetra. It's an independent 4-post lift. We have to slide each tire into one post and then use that to lift it up. We can't change tires on any vehicle with that, but our trucks, we have the corresponding jack stands that we lower the truck onto. But on a smaller vehicle, it can't withstand that. We can't lower it like that on the jack stands.
My question would be this though. Is there a universal attachment for the manufacturer that makes this lift that would be available that you maybe looked into? If it is available. It would be cheaper than the $23,000. Is there something out there available like that, either used or brand new?
To do,
It would be, well, we have this jack, we have this lift already. So what I'm saying is there a universal?
we don't have this.
This is showing a truck on there. As far as I know, we're looking for
Unfortunately, that's the
cars.
only picture available.
Okay, so we have a truck lift, we have several truck lifts out in the garage right now. My question is, for the manufacturer of those truck lifts, is there a universal attachment or device that could be purchased, that could be put on that would accomplish the same goal, that would cost less than $23,000?
No, we already have adapters, there are little adapters that go on those independent posts that we can lift the car up, but we can't use it to change any tires. We still have to go back to the old floor jack, one tire at a time, going around the car to change, because we've already had 2 village vehicles come in, for the building department vehicles that needed brand new brakes all around. We had to do that, timely, it's a little bit time consuming. We can only have one person working on the car at a time. With the 2-lift system, we can have 2 people working on cars at the same time. Many of my staff members are capable of doing brake jobs, are capable of doing the smaller things like the PMs on all the vehicles, and keeping in mind that before all we had was public works vehicles and then our obligation to the highway district for their vehicles. We're adding 20 new vehicles to it in addition to we're going to be maintaining all of the parks and recreation department's equipment and all of their smaller ATV vehicles. We're going to be maintaining their tractors, their mowers.
I understand the necessity of it. I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just talking about, do we have another avenue to purchase something at a lesser price? Did you look at?
Jeff looked at that. Jeff and I both went through a whole list of different options for this. And first of all, there was nothing that could hold the weight of our trucks. This was the one that could hold the weight of our trucks. Because we do need it. We'll need it for trucks too. I mean, we'll use it for both.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression
It's not just for
cars
vehicles.
only.
It'll be for everything.
Because we could have 2 trucks going at the same time. We could have 1 truck and 1 passenger car going at the same time. The current Arihetra is 12 years old and it's already broken twice in 2 weeks, but John was able to piece it back together and fix it. So we still think it's got some years left in it. But it took a whole day, plus transferring it, putting the adapters on to switch it from truck to vehicle lift is about a 30-minute process. And I can tell you, one day we had to change it 3 times. It was an hour and a half of downtime just changing it, getting it ready to lift cars.
And this will have a home, we won't need to build an additional.
No, we won't. We will not. This will have a home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this seems to be just more efficient and safer.
It's going to be much safer, and you'll be able to double our productivity. And now that we're taking on 20 new vehicles from Village, we've got Village EMA, Parks, and the Highway District's brand new, nice, beautiful vehicle which I don't think will be sitting in our shop for many years.
Hopefully, yeah.
But we do have a lot. Plus, again, keep in mind, all of the Parks has a lot of equipment that we'll be doing that we use these lifts for.
And I think following your budget numbers, you're well under your budget for the year right now anyway, so I think the way you've explained it was perfect. And I think you are correct, it's necessary.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion on it? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Pezzuino?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Laha? Aye. Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, trustees.
Next, consider an approval, Wonder Door, Inc., to replace door slab for an exterior door for the Parks and Recreation area at Village Hall in the amount of $6,210.
So,
Move it. Need a second.
Second.
Those discussion.
Carmen, you had said that we are going to be redoing the area.
Yeah, so we're looking to redo the rec department area. Right now, that door is a solid door, and we're going to try to open it up so then residents can come in and pick up scarecrows, snowmen, tulips. It'll be easier for signing up for those items too if somebody wants to come in and do that. It'll help facilitate getting in and out of that door a little bit easier. And I think it's well warranted. We actually want to kind of restructure that so it kind of looks like the building department. It has a door and a window, and people can come up and if they have conversations with our event staff and stuff like that. So that's our goal.
And did you have a purpose for the other door you're going to be removing?
Yes, so we're going to repurpose the one door, so that's the goal. So.
I think that was great planning on your part. You explained that to me also.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a little bit of an oversight when that room was only built about a year and a half ago. But I think that'll be great that people will be able to come in, use the side door, and do all those things with those bigger items. And by you saving the door and incorporating it into the new way that will be built in that entranceway, I think that was great. Thank you for doing that.
No problem.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders? Aye. Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Laha? Aye. Trustee Pezzuino?
aye.
Motion carries. Next, consideration for approval, ordinance number 22-053, in order to amend section 5-3B of the Village of Homer Glen Code of Ordinances regarding the order of business or agenda to include the addition of invocation for the transition of business at regular village board meetings conducted within the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois.
So moved.
I'll second that.
So moved was
Who made the second? There was 2 voices.
okay. Discussion.
Nobody else has anything to say?
I think, Carrie, you were going to get an
I-
report for us on this?
I do have something to say before Karen does. I know this has been talked.
Beth made the second,
Sorry?
so I think, right, so I think.
Yeah, that's second.
In conversation.
Yeah. So,
So I'm looking
You've got the
for,
floor right now.
no, they weren't saying
She
anything.
just said something.
I'm sorry?
She did say she has something to say.
Oh, I thought you had asked Terry to say
That
something.
wasn't me, that was Beth.
Okay, but before we get legal counsel's thing, usually it's our discussion, you know?
I'm
I don't care, if that's the way you want to do it, go ahead.
I think she's allowed to ask questions.
Yeah, I don't know. Carrie, I know that we had asked for you to kind of look into this and just kind of see what other municipalities had, or if there was some legal opinion on this. I mean, I've done my own homework, but I'm curious.
I did send an email to all of you.
Would you mind putting your microphone on, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee, I did send an email to all of you on Wednesday, November 2nd, basically summarizing that I researched the issue, and the United States Supreme Court, in its decisions in Marsh versus Chambers, which was in 1983, and then in the town of Greece, New York versus Galloway, which was in 2014, determined that there is historical precedent for the practice of opening legislative meetings with prayer. It concluded a solemn and respectful prayer introduced at the opening of the legislative session, where it is meant to lend gravity to the occasion and reflect values one part of our nation's heritage, serves a legitimate function. And then I indicated in some, so long as the practice over time is not exploited to proselytize or advance any one, or to disparage any other faith or belief, a prayer at the beginning of the meeting does not violate the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Now, those aren't my words, those are words from the opinions. The United States, and I was educated on this subject, but the United States Supreme Court indicated in the town of Greece, New York versus Galloway decision that it says, well, legislative prayer, while religious in nature, has long been understood as compatible with the Establishment Clause of the United States Constitution. And it says, it's practiced by Congress since the framing of the Constitution. Legislative prayer lends gravity to public business, reminds lawmakers to transcend petty differences in pursuit of a higher purpose, and expresses a common aspiration to a just and peaceful society. And this is the U.S. Supreme Court has considered this symbolic expression to be a tolerable acknowledgement of beliefs widely held rather than a first treacherous step toward establishment of a state church. And earlier in the Marsh versus Chambers decision, the Supreme Court indicated that in light of the unambiguous and unbroken history of more than 200 years, there can be no doubt that the practice of opening legislative sessions with prayer has become part of the fabric of our society. To invoke divine guidance on a public issue or a public body entrusted with making the laws is not, in these circumstances, an establishment of religion or a step toward establishment. It is simply a tolerable acknowledgement of beliefs widely held among the people of this country. We are a religious people whose institutions presuppose a supreme being. Again, those aren't my words, those are the words of the United States Supreme Court. So I was asked as legislative counsel to research the legality. There's nothing illegal, and so long as no one particular religion is espoused or an attempt is made to advance it to the disparagement or exclusion of any other, there's nothing wrong with prayer. I don't know what else to say. This is not something that is my opinion. This is the opinion of the courts, of the highest court in the United States.
So the people that are out,
my suggestion is that, and again, the ordinance just says you're going to do an invocation. It mentions nothing about which, any religion. It says nothing about any particular religion. And so, as long as there's an attempt to you can stay within the confines of your municipality in terms of how you want us to go about structuring this so that there's openness for all religions or whatever to participate. I don't see nothing unconstitutional about this, which is what I was asked to opine on, and which I'm telling you now, okay?
Sometimes people...
Okay, wait, just to Bianco, point of order, I still have the floor. That being said, Nicole, I know you've been in Springport quite a bit. I know they have some form of prayer there. What do they typically do?
Yeah, so they do have a prayer before the Senate begins their meetings. It is non-denominational, right? So what they allow people to do, and the only reason why I know this is I actually called my legal counsel today because this is something that I was really interested in. I think it's interesting to me too. But they have a prayer. What they do though is they allow it to, you could sign up to give a prayer. Like, Ruben, if you want to give a prayer one day, you are able to go to the Senate and sign up for it, and you are able to do that. It is your right to go and pray on the Senate floor. It's regulated by time. There is a time frame. It's regulated by place. You can do it at the Senate, and it's regulated by manner, meaning no hate speech, no offensive nature. So that's how it's regulated. Other than that, they don't have the authority to regulate who gets to come and do the invocation. But it is pre-planned. It would be something that, I have no problem with this. I just would like to make sure that we do it in a graceful and respectful way. It's no secret that I am, a practicing Christian. So prayer is something very sacred and very, very important to me. I want to make sure that if this is something we choose to do as a board, that we are respectful to anybody who wants to come and be heard. I'm also a true supporter of our First Amendment rights, and we can't pick and choose when to support that. So I want to make sure that this dais is respectful. I know we will be. I know we all are. We're very respectful of that. But that's basically what the Senate does, is they do allow all faiths to come in and say something. So what my suggestion would be from my experience is that we maybe set guidelines, no longer than X minutes. Maybe, like Carrie said, we restrict or allow or invite people within our village borders, something along the lines of that to make this more community-based.
So when you say they sign up, do they sign up in there, like they would come to a meeting and sign up, or are they scheduling this ahead of time? So will there be 3 different prayers at one meeting, or is it?
No, so we only do one. So they have a floor manager. So let's just say we have a calendar of meetings, the next 5 or 6 meetings. We say, okay, who wants to do prayer in 2 weeks? Who wants to do prayer in 4 weeks? Who wants to do prayer, and it's just an opportunity, equal opportunity to be able to do something like this. That it is pre-planned. So like 4 people can't come and do the prayer that day.
Is it on an agenda?
That I don't know.
I know we would have this on our agenda, it's part of.
Yeah, that I don't know. That part I don't know. Just okay. Thank you.
I was the one that asked for this to be put on the agenda, for one. For 2, it's taken a while to get here today. But as far as the way I understand it, Nicole is right, that would be one way of doing it. But we could each take our turn here if we wanted to. We could open it up to the public, or we could keep it closed to the people on the board to just say the short prayer. And that would be okay too, right? Depending on how we want to do it. Or is your suggestion to reach out to all denominations that are out there, let them have the opportunity to give the short prayer? And the prayer, when we say prayer or we say invocation, I think it's taken out of context a little bit. It's 15 to 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the longest. It's not to get into all these details as far as that was never my intention with this. It was, and it said perfectly in here, to lend gravity to the proceedings and remind those present to transcend petty differences in their discussions. And I don't see how it can hurt. And as long as we try not to get off kind of like that, format, and we're not trying to make it about one specific religion. I don't think that was ever the intent when I brought it up. It was just to give a short prayer of inspiration and to move forward in our meeting. So based on those two things, could we do it that way? And the other thing is, when we're told that this brings in separation of church and state and the panic alarms are going off, is that correct, Terry?
Well, not according to the Supreme Court, it's not correct, no. The Supreme Court has looked at it more from a historical point of view. And those passages that I read from those two decisions indicate that they've looked at the history of the country. So they don't really look at it as any violation of what's called the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, where for a government to put forth that a particular religion is going to be the religion of that particular body and establish it as part of the government, they would never allow that. But no, it's not. They look at it from a historical perspective, and that's the best I can say. It's
Okay.
their opinion that what you have suggested, as long as it's not used, as I said earlier, to proselytize any particular religion or group of religions, is fine.
But if we go down that route, it has to be an established, like, religion within the community of some kind. If we were to reach out, it just can't be anybody.
If you all want to do it yourselves, you can.
Right.
I don't have any, it's not my call. I was asked to look at this from a legal perspective. That's my job.
I think something.
How you want to go about doing it, as long as you keep it neutral, it's really up to
The
you.
township does it.
You want to make it available to religious institutions or institutions within the village. That is your call.
I would like to request that if
I'm
we do
still
go through
in
with this.
conversation, I'm still in discussion.
This is relevant to what
This
you're
is,
saying.
yeah, I know, but I have the floor right now, so point of order. Yeah. The township does it, the county does it, Lockport does it. This is where I kind of got the idea that we were missing out on something, is because Lockport does it, but I believe it was their police officer that came up to the podium. It wasn't like we were trying to make this big thing out of it as to who's going to do it and how long it's going to be. And I don't think that was ever the intention with bringing it to the board here. So, I mean, if we could keep that in mind and keep it short and simple and maybe start off with ourselves doing it, or as Carrie suggested, we could reach out to the community. I don't know what would be best, but I'd like to start at our next meeting, so however we could do that, that would be great.
Carrie, back to what you said, I think that if we are going to do this and support this, I think we need to come up with language that is set before. I think we had talked about something like this earlier, inviting, like Trustee Fialko said, letting people know that this is a thing. Maybe, Carmen, as a village manager, you can, write a letter to different established religious organizations. And if no one signs up, maybe one of us picks it up then or something like that. Or you, or clerk, our police officers or something like that, just because, like I said, I don't want people to come in here and start pointing fingers that we are trying to make everyone pray a Christian prayer. I have much respect for all religions in Homer Glen. As a matter of fact, I teach my child about many different religions, as I think it's so interesting and so beautiful to make sure that everyone is represented. So I just ask that out of respect for prayers and other people's religion, that we just have some sort of language set in place to, honor what this truly is. And it could be something very beautiful.
When you say language, you're not talking about a prayer language, you're talking about possibly inviting.
I just mean like guidelines.
Lack of anything better, inviting the congregation or the heads of congregations throughout the village, saying, okay, we're going to do this. We have our meetings twice a month. These are when they are. Let us know if you can do it on give us 3 or 4 days when you can do it, and then we'll try to kind of spin the table or spin the wheel and see, something to that effect.
Just organize it to keep it, safe and, do we want to put a time frame? Like, I don't know that we want anybody to stand up there for an hour, or, I want to make sure that we just have things set in place. Guidelines, thank you, guidelines.
A few guidelines I think would be very well said, trustee. But we don't want to, I don't think we need an ordinance to do this. I think just having a supplemental, agreement that you send with it to the the churches that are out there and to ask them for the availability dates. I don't think we need to dissect it and go into a whole big ordinance and create this other piece of paper for what we're trying to accomplish here. So that would, Carrie, that would be okay, correct?
I would think so, sure.
Because I would like to start at the next meeting. I don't want to delay it because we need to create another piece of paper.
And an invocation could be just a silent moment for a minute or two. So, there's other...
I think Trustee Pasmino said that today when we were talking. A moment of silence could even be part of it too. I never wanted it to get this complicated, but I understand the legalities of it, and we had to go there. And thank you, Trustee Lahab, for your input.
Prayer couldn't hurt. I think that anytime prayer is looked at as a threat, I think that's why the world is the way it is right now. I wish we had more prayer in God everywhere. My 10 cents. And keep in mind, every time we hold this meeting, we say, one nation under God. I didn't see anybody run out and get offended.
Or when we take money out of our pocket, because it says in God we trust, we don't throw the money out.
Right, so I do agree with everybody here. We organize it and keep it just like public comment. You do your 3 minutes tops. And again, you can't do it. Because this is one nation under God, and God could mean Allah, Yahweh, Lord. Everybody has their own God, they pray their own way. So I don't think it would hurt us.
I've talked to a couple of the churches, and a lot of them don't have interest in it for the reason of their people coming into a different church and feeling strange, because now they're not in the churches they normally use. I think a lot of it also has to do with what language they're speaking and everything else. So what I would do is I would go to all the churches and synagogues and anything you have in this village and see if they're interested in it. If they're interested in it, they'll come and do it. If they're not, they're going to let you know. But the 2 priests that I did talk to said, no, my people like to come to their church. That's their home.
That's totally their prerogative, you know what I mean? And I'm grounded in my faith. I know whose I am and who I serve, right? So, but I do think that this is something that, as long as we are open, like, Trustee Pasmino and Fialco have said, I don't see how it could be offensive. And honestly, I feel that we could be very thoughtful and very celebratory with this.
I think it's a good idea. You get to learn all about them too.
Right, exactly.
But
Right.
you just don't want to push them into a corner.
Right.
And you have to be careful because we keep using the word church. We're not
Well,
just talking about church.
church,
We're talking
no, it's
about any
church,
denomination,
synagogue.
any structural denomination in the village of Glen. 3 minutes, part of our agenda, as long as they're an organized, recognized affiliation.
Church. By the way, Father Thomas Loya volunteered to do the first prayer from Byzantine Church on Wilkirk Road. He'll be more than happy to come down anytime we would like him to, but he did volunteer to do the first one.
Thank you.
And I did speak with him, and he did not say no. Thank you.
Well, let's send someone out to
I
get,
can give a list.
okay, and then we can go from there.
Can I ask a clarification question, please? Where is this going to fall on the agenda? Is it right after the pledge?
Yes, it's in the ordinance that's prepared.
It would be number 3.
I just wasn't sure.
It would be number 3.
Okay. I didn't know if that changed. And then the motion, are we adding any conditions in there?
Based on the village guidelines, it needs to be the guideline that we'll put out and hopefully put out before the next agenda. So, I don't have to vote on it, but so that all of the trustees have their input on these guidelines.
We don't want to bring them in here and then have them feel uncomfortable because they're reading something that we don't understand or, so let's just get a list of people and go from there. I'm sure some would take it up because it brings people closer. So,
In the list?
You got another job.
I'd like to call the roll, please.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Next, number 10. Next will be old business. Under first one, it says discussion regarding canceling the November 23rd, 2022 village board meeting and the December 28th, 2022 village board meeting.
Yeah, we have historically done that since we've been here. We've always done that, to do it the day before Thanksgiving. We wouldn't, I don't think we'd had a quorum, and the 28th, it's just more time to spend with your family and traveling and things like that. I don't think we've ever had those meetings.
I'm in favor of also.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
I don't think there's a roll call, I just want a consensus for everybody.
It's just consensus.
Yes, consensus, everybody. Trustee Laha, I didn't hear you. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was an action item, I'm sorry.
No, she's just wanting.
Yes, sorry, yep. Mhm.
Make sure you don't want to be here.
I do not want to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, you'll have to adopt the tax levy then at the meeting in December.
Right, yeah.
Which is the 14th.
14th, I believe.
Okay, that's passed. Next would be new business.
Under old business, I still have one or two items, if I could.
Yep.
One, the salt for the roads, are we prepared? Have we got all our salt for the winter months? Are we good with that? Okay. And how do we do in pricing?
Really well. Really well.
Cheaper this year than?
Yes, so $78, estimated about $78 a ton. We have about 2,000 tons of treated salt already in the shed, and we're estimated 35, we got estimated 3,500 tons for regular salt.
Did we work with a co-op this time, or did we go off on
We went with state bid.
state bid?
Yeah, so.
All right, thank you for that. And the one last item is the fascia gutters on Village Hall in the bids that we were out for.
Proposals for those are due on Tuesday. We'll be opening those up at 3 o'clock.
All right, that's all I have under old business for me.
Okay, if you could do me one favor on that, that you've got something on old business, if you could check to see if you can find the answer before we come in or something.
Why?
Waste of time up here.
You think that was a waste of time?
Well, we can get through this quicker once you find out exactly what we're saying we can and cannot do. So this when we come to the meeting.
I think that fell under old business as we've done in past practice. But I thought that was a short one compared to other days. Yeah, whatever.
All right, so the next one is, you all done with old business then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll go with new business. Discussion Public Works Department tax levy of $1,500,000 that was first voted on December 9th, 2020. So I need discussion on that.
So, just so the board knows, this came into A&F, John presented to A&F, and in the A&F they decided they would like to have a little bit of discussion on this at the board to discuss. Me and John felt it was appropriate to go forward and have a discussion on this. We're sitting at an estimated $3 million budget for our public works. We subsidize that with a few other things, but we're looking to have a levy of $1.5 million. So the floor is open for discussion. John, if you want to add anything, is it there? So
this is a 2022 levy. It's 1.5 million. It's the same as the 21 levy and the 20 levy. And that was really the deciding factor going forward, to keep it the same. It is a $3 million operational budget with $1 million of road resurfacing. We pay for the excess with sales tax and income tax, but it seemed appropriate to move forward with last year's levy. So we wanted to get a directive because we are under a short deadline, because this will have to be voted on at the next, in the December meeting and delivered to the county by the end of the year. So any comments or questions on it?
So I just want to make it clear for, the residents, just so they know, this $1.5 million levy was originally brought in 2020 in order to be able to subsidize the new public works.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So, in essence, if we were to get rid of this $1.5 million levy, not carry it anymore, that would be pretty much a severe blow to the public works budget, correct?
Well, it would be a severe blow to the general fund balance, the equity.
Okay.
Because the expenses will not go away. You'll pay for it with fund equity. To soften the blow a little bit, if you were to go back to 2019 and compare the tax of the road district and then roll it forward after the merger, a home with a $300,000 market value's property taxes have gone down $77. So the public works was previously the road district, which was funded with property taxes. We're only funding a small amount with it. So I would think you should continue to fund at least that level.
What I'd like to add to the conversation is on Monday, for the township meeting, Mr. Portfolio, who runs the road district for the township, lowered the taxes by 25%. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he lowered the taxes 25% on the township side for the road district, and we have no plans of raising that 25% on this side. So in essence, what we've done is between the township and the village, we've actually lowered taxes once again. And thank you for doing that. And with us working together, that was our goal, is to reduce taxes. And I think we've kept our promise. Thank you, sir.
All right, so we still have to go with the tax levy of 1.5 million. When we first got into this road district, we had the township basically paid the whole bill. We had to pay them the money that we did a levy on, turn it over to the road district. The road district, with their raised theirs. Now, when we raised ours, for our first time with the road district, we came up with $1.5 million. We didn't know what it was going to cost at that time for us to be able to do the roads, to do the snow plowing, to do the trees, to do some of the pipes that were breaking the road. So at that time, we put in an increase of $57 per $100,000 market value. And that was, when it came back to us, they told us that you can't put it in the municipal tax. It's all on its own. So they put the $57 through per every $100,000 market value. But when it came to us, Will County had dropped it down to 49, John?
That's correct.
So they dropped it down to $49. So we charged everyone $49 for every $100,000 on the market value. And this we figured we could cover what we had. The only reason we didn't know what we had is because we have never done it before. We didn't want to raise the levy that the township did at that time, because they put almost every one of them at 6 million. I knew we didn't need $6 million to do a road district. I knew we could get it lower than that, we just didn't know how much lower. So they put that one in, and at the end of the year with the taxes, each resident paid $49 more per $100,000 of market value. Now, I don't know what the final figure came out at the end of the year is, or after the very first year. But what we also did is, when we did the levy for the extra $49, which Will County was going to pay us, we did it for a 1-year term. It was supposed to go away after into the second term. So now what we've done, unfortunately, it stayed there. So it still falls on last year's tax, and now it will fall on this year's tax. It didn't go up, but it didn't go down. So we just want to let the residents understand it does take money to do all this. When we got done this year, we were way under. We were under $3 million when we were with the township. They were spending over $6 million. So I think we're doing an absolutely wonderful job keeping the roads the way they are. Our roads are fine. When it snows, these guys get the snow out of there as fast as they possibly can. So what we're trying to do is, I don't want to get snuck by anyone, but what we would like to do is continue on with leaving it alone, just the way it is. The tax wouldn't go up at all. The tax would stay the same. But we did plan on turning that off 2 years ago. Unfortunately, we got past everyone, so now that's what we're going to do. If we need more after that, then we have to get creative and figure out how else to do it. You got to understand that just with the amount of trucks that we've had to buy, all the plows we had to buy, all the salt we had to buy, all the equipment to fix the roads, to cut the trees. So right now on your tax form, there is one on there, and it would be $49 per 100,000 market on it. That's going to stay the same. We're not going to raise anything, but we're not going to take it off right now. Because otherwise we will run into a jam, so we'll be doing something. The roads are getting, we're trying to rebuild as many roads as we possibly can without spending any more money than what we do. So that's where we sit right now, and we haven't voted on it yet, because this is still under new business on this one. But we just want the residents in the village to know what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing. So if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If you don't have questions now and you want to, just call me. We'll explain it to you and why we did what we did.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. So the tax levy that was passed in 2020 and then passed over, rolled over basically, because we did not increase that amount, it didn't get passed to anybody. The fact that we're running a $3 to $4 million operation with just a little bit over $1.5 million, I think it's very good and very impressive. And the only way to eliminate that tax is to give back the road district. And that's not going to happen, because the whole point of doing that was to control our own destiny. That we did not have to depend on what was that time a different administration under the road district. Which, by the way, that $6 to $7 million, George, that you mentioned was not under this current administration. It was under the prior administration. Thank God to the road district and the township. They brought down those costs phenomenally. Thank you guys very much. I just wanted to clarify that.
Trustee Pesmino, I have a question.
Sure.
I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong. Last year when the levy was presented, you all maintained it at the prior year's amount.
1.5 million.
But you were asked mean to be impertinent here, but I thought the mayor and the then existing manager asked you to increase that levy by 150%, and you said no. So I don't, Mayor, I'm just listening to you say that it was supposed to go away, but you asked these folks to increase it by 150% last year, which kind of, if you want to tell the public the whole truth, and I think you need to tell the public that you asked them to increase it 150%, and they said, no, we're going to just keep it where it is. Am I wrong? Or did I hear that at that meeting last year, or am I making this up?
We were given options. We were given 3 options. The first option was to completely eliminate it. But the problem with that, of course, is we had a $3 or $4 million bill. You can't eliminate it because it was, we bought the baby, so we had to pay for it, right? So the second option would be to roll over that tax. No taxes go up. In fact, the very first tax that was passed, it was actually a double whammy because we weren't sure if we were going to get the road district. So the gamble was made, not by myself, but the gamble was made because that levy had to be put in December. And if you don't put it in, you can no longer grab it. So we had, that was voted. So there was basically 2 levies that was paid for at that time. So then the next tax levy that came in seemed like it was lower because now you're only paying 1. So the one-time levy that the mayor was referencing was that one-time double whammy that we got hit with, I'm assuming. So then the second one came in, we said, no, we're not passing $3 million.
But I thought,
It would be nice, right? But I'd rather that money be in the residents' pockets, not in our coffers.
I thought so.
And that's why we said 1.5, and I believe, oh, actually it passed, the 1.5 rollover. And this year, my intention, because we need to finance the road district, or I'm sorry, the public works, we need to roll it over again, because there's no way around it, unless we give the road district back. And that's not gonna happen.
I just wanted to make sure I appreciate
It actually, Carmen, it did come in under the $3 million this year. It actually came in at $2,970,121.
So in answer to your question, no, I never said that. I never wanted that. I wanted it to go away, but it was already in there. They felt comfortable with it, that they could do the same thing again.
I just
So
want
let's not twist it in this case.
Well, no. I think there is definitely a different tone that's being presented today versus last year. I mean, because I was new to this, so it was something very confusing to me. You know, we were actually offered, 3 options, and we were all like, no, we don't like any of those options, and so we chose to stay where we're at. If I remember correctly, that option wasn't even on the agenda. We decided that on our own.
Which option?
To stay at the 1.5, yes.
So that
We were
was-
actually presented 3 different options.
So that was the first one that we had that was on, and then it switched over to the second year.
Right.
Now it's switching over to the third year.
So
So
it's-
we haven't raised it since we set up the amount that we were going to do in Christmas. And you explained it perfectly.
Yes. I just want the public to hear it clearly, because then the newspaper's gonna write something that's not clear and not.
That's why I want Carrie to understand, that's not all.
I could finish what I was saying, that thank you to Village Manager Carmen Morella and to Greg Woods. They actually came in under the 3.2 million at $2,970,121,000.
Just as a side note too, on December 9, 2020, at digital tape marker 2 hours and 35 minutes and 11 seconds, Carrie Frilling said it wasn't a one-time expense. It reoccurs over and over because of gas, employees, and it's a reoccurring operating expense. And when that vote did come down, it was double taxation for the 1 year. That's what it was about, and that's what caused the mess. We were taxed by the road district, and we were also taxed by the village. That vote at that time, if anybody cares to look it up, was on December 9, 2020 under J9, and we had 4 yeses, and the noes were Suisse and Pasmino. at that time, but that still passed, and that was double taxation for that 1 year, and that's what was talked about and that everybody was upset about. So,
Okay, well, hopefully at December's meeting, we don't have to go backwards and talk about what if and back then and what, but we're trying to move forward. So if we can talk about forward progress and forward progression instead of talking about, oh, well, remember in 2019 BC when you got, no, we're talking about how are we moving forward as a village, as a team, who did what, who voted what, this and that. Let's just move forward. Mr. Portfolio, thank you for the information. If I have any questions, I'll reach out to you this week. Good information. I'll look forward to it again.
sure. When we're in the process of learning how we got to a certain point, I don't think anybody's name was called out, if you felt that way. But when we have a process here and we're trying to figure out how we got here, and for the public to understand it, it is important what was said. And when I reference back to Carrie Frilling and what she said, that's important to be said. So we know why we're where we're at today and what we have to do. Working together as a team is very important, and that appears to be the direction this time, and I'm very happy for that. So thank you, Trustee Rafferty.
If I could just add one thing, the packet that we passed out to you was only the first 5 pages. The entire packet, we didn't get to print all of it, so Mr. Portfolio has this. Just so you know.
Gary, do we have anything for executive session?
Yes, the manager and I do have a very quick report we'd like to give you with respect to the status of negotiations with Local 150. That's a proper subject for a closed session under the Open Meetings Act. And so we would like to bring you up to speed and get some input from the board if we can.
A motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, let's go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So I'm the 5 minutes or?
Yes, we can do a 5-minute break.
All in favor? All in favor?